God, I feel like
How
should sing
cute.
a song.
I know. I'm ready for karaoke. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Lights Out with Ish and Eve. I'm Ish and this is Eve, and we are back for 2025, first pod of the year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. We've had a few little tech upgrades
Yeah.
over the Christmas break. So hopefully our sound for 2025 is going to be stunning.
I really like having something to hold on to.
Yeah.
Like, preparing to be screamed at in the comments. Like, holding on for dear life. No negativity so early on in
we're starting things off.
2025 Lights Out
Just good vibes.
campaign.
Anyways, so obviously we still have about a month and a half until we get some cars out on track at testing. So we were talking about how are we going to fill this time.
Yes.
And so we came up with this episode called Debate While We Wait, where we basically asked you guys to comment your controversial or like hot takes that you had on the world of F1, and we would yap about them.
So fun. Like, I love seeing like the comments come in. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, literally.
Oh.
I was like, that's interesting.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
I know.
Because this F1 world is full of opinions.
Yes.
Like-
Everyone has them.
And everyone loves to share them.
Yes.
So I think this is going to be really fun.
I agree. I'm very
And
excited.
Depending on how this goes, we may or may not do it again. So if you have any F1 hot takes or controversial opinions, please comment them so that if we do this again, we can react to yours.
Yes.
Yes.
Stunning.
So
All right, so before we kind of dive right in, the F1 breaking news graphics have started hella early this year.
Oh my God.
Like, first week of Jan, and they were off to the races.
Yeah.
So, first of all, we found out that Franco Colapinto was signed as Alpine's reserve driver for this year.
Which is very interesting.
Especially given Jack Doohan's 6-race contract.
Rumoured.
Yes, rumoured 6-race contract.
Which it just, first of all, love that for Franco. I love that he's finally got somewhere to go.
Yep.
Second of all, if I was Paul Aaron, I'd be fucking screaming.
Yeah, fair.
Like,
Very
he's just
fair.
been fucking pushed in front of for that, like, backup spot, I think. Like, 'cause
Well,
I think
yeah.
that, obviously, like, Jack Doohan's contract aside, if they actually needed a reserve driver, a la Carlos Sainz appendicitis, then I feel like they would go Franco.
Yeah.
Like, they wouldn't go Paul Aaron. So,
Yeah. I think, obviously, Franco's a known quantity now,
Yeah.
more or less, in F1. Paul Aaron is
Not-
still, like,
Yeah, of course.
hasn't been in an F1 car properly yet. So,
of
like...
course, it makes sense that they would go Franco.
Yeah.
But if I was Paul Aaron, I'd be like, bruh.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't understand. Like, obviously I understand Alpine signing Franco. Like, good for them.
Yeah.
I don't, if Jack Doohan's contract is genuinely only 6 races.
Yeah.
I don't get that.
It's like
all.
starting with a ticking time bomb over your head.
It's
like,
so much pressure. It's
Yeah.
like, if you don't perform immediately, you're out. It's
Yeah.
setting him up to fail.
really
Like,
is.
how
yeah.
is he meant to succeed in these conditions?
So true.
Honestly.
So true.
Because, like, when you see, like, when Red Bull did it with, like, Pierre Gasly, and they were like, if you crash the car, you're getting fired, and then he
Yeah.
crashed the car.
Yeah.
Even with, like, Franco, when he came in and had zero pressure, and, like, there's no Williams seat next year.
Yeah.
He's just gonna, like, come in, have some fun, see what happens. Absolutely killed it.
Yeah.
As soon as people are starting to talk about, oh, is he gonna get a seat next year? Is
Yeah.
he gonna, like,
Performance, bonk. Yeah.
car in the wall,
Yeah.
out in Q1.
Yeah.
Pressure.
It's huge pressure. And it's not even like Jack's had like a rookie year to kind of get a handle on the car, and now they're like, all right, you didn't do so well, so now you've got 6 more races to kind of prove it, or you're out. Like, this is going to be his second race. Like, Melbourne will be his second race.
And it's his home race, too.
Yeah. Like, and then he's got that and then 5 more races to show. Like,
it just feels like they're only letting him drive them because they already signed him.
yeah, it's like, oh, we actually kind of wished we got Franco, so we'll let you have a go, but then you're done.
You're out. it's just so, like, and what's going to happen is I hope this doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Obviously, I would love it if he's just like, home race, bang, podium. But let's be for real.
That's probably not going to happen.
Let's be for real. I mean, if the Alpine has an absolute rocket ship, then that could happen, but I don't know about that. But I think what's going to happen is he's just going to not be good because he's going to have so much pressure on his shoulders.
Yeah.
And then he may never get another F1 drive again
Yeah.
because people are going to think he's bad because he's not getting good results because he's got so much pressure on him.
Yeah.
It's just like, anyway. I love Franco though, so love if we get to see him back on the grid
Yes.
ASAP. But it's just a bit sad that it's our Australian.
I know. Do you reckon I guess they'd already film his like F1 driver intro in preparation for like
I think they would film Franco's.
Yeah. A mid-season swap.
I'm so excited for the new driver intros.
Yeah, this will be your first like change.
I know. And I get to see it
what
in person.
new poses like people.
I get to see it in person
You
in
do.
Melbourne too,
You
which will
do.
be so fun to see everyone's reaction to them as well.
So true. So exciting.
I'm looking forward to seeing what George Russell pulls out of the bag after the uproar at his boring one this year.
I know. I feel like it's going to be boring again.
Yeah. I mean, he did say he would try and do something fun, but at the end of the day, it's not really up to him.
No. I think they film a bunch of different poses and then the editors
Apparently, they filmed everyone in the T-pose.
I did hear that.
I
want that footage.
I think we've had leaked like Nick De Vries doing it or something. And I'm like,
really?
do you hear Nick De Vries might be joining McLaren as a reserve driver?
I have not, no. Interesting. He was doing all right in Formula E, I think.
Yeah. Well, he was
He
was really good until he got to
Yeah.
F1.
Yeah.
So,
No, but then he went to Formula E after that.
yeah.
And so I think he's actually been doing really well there.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Anyway, that was interesting.
So that was the first F1 breaking news graphic we got. And then shortly afterwards, we found out that Mike Crack
Yeah.
has been
Demoted.
question mark, to Chief Trackside Officer.
Yeah.
And Andy Cowell, who was previously at Mercedes, is stepping in as
team principal.
Yeah. Which
Seems weird.
interesting.
Yeah.
So things going on at Aston Martin.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about them as we kind of
People
go through
had
some
thoughts
of our
about Aston Martin.
but interesting.
Yeah. I'm just sad that I don't get to say Mike Crack.
Yeah.
As
I
much.
mean, what's the difference between a chief trackside officer and a team principal? I guess
The
team
team
principal
principal
does
does
a
all
lot
the
more
media.
outside of
Maybe it's because he's yapping about
At the
how,
track,
like,
but-
Fernando Alonso is not better than Lance Stroll. And
Yeah.
everyone's like, okay, comments like this, you're getting
Yeah.
taken out of the media.
Yeah.
But I don't think he really did anything like that bad.
Yeah, I think, like, who knows, maybe his skill set is really just, like, being, like, really good at the track and during the race, and then outside of that, there's a whole other realm of things that go on as a team
Behind
principal
the
that you have to
scenes,
take care of, and maybe that's just not his skill set.
Yeah.
But,
It's probably something pretty simple like that. Like, we don't want to be like,
yeah.
he's the worst, he did something bad.
But anyways,
yes.
so that's it for news at the moment. Who knows? Maybe by the time this comes out, there have been more breaking news graphics, as there seemed to be every single time we filmed an episode last year.
Yeah.
But I think for now, let's get into some of these controversial opinions.
Yeah. So we'll start with, might as well start on topic.
Yep.
Aston Martin.
Yes.
So we had a comment come through. Lance Stroll does not want to drive anymore. He's living his father's dream and he hates it.
Yeah. I agree with this. I think, like, I don't know if it's, like, a super controversial opinion. I think there'd be a lot of people that would agree with this.
Yeah.
He clearly, when you see him in interviews and you see him talking to the media, he just feels so detached. He just is, like, super vague answers or just super brief answers.
Yeah.
Like, doesn't light
Very
up
monotone as well.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder if it would be different if he started getting results.
Yeah.
But
He's sort of just, like, answering the same questions over and over again about, like, poor performance.
Yeah. But at the same time, like, yes, the car hasn't been good for the second half of like the previous year, bro. But he also just, like, has never really had great results anyway.
Yeah.
So it's like, Yeah, I agree with this comment.
Yeah.
I guess if we're debating it, if we talk about the flip side, if he wasn't enjoying it and he's living his father's dream, at what point does he say, I don't want to do this anymore?
Yeah.
I want to retire.
Yeah.
But it's so tough when your dad owns the team and has invested so much money in it. So it's a tricky situation if he actually does feel that way. Because, like, the flip side is, like, I guess if he didn't want to, then he would have.
Yeah. Because it's also,
Retired.
like, it's not like he just stepped into F1 as, like, an adult and, like, he obviously grew up karting and then
went through F3.
Like, moved his way through the ranks. And I think
Yeah.
potentially could be the case that, like, F1 is what he knows. And it's, like,
What else
I
would he
think
do?
as an athlete especially, like, it's scary to, like, move on from
Totally.
that because that's what you know. And, you know, more or less, like, yes, he's not the best F1 driver, but that's what you're good at. Like, that's your skill set.
Yeah.
So,
It's like, what else would he do?
yeah.
So,
Who knows?
yeah. It would be so tough to, like, have that conversation, though. Like,
Totally.
imagine being like, hey, Dad, I know you've spent probably billions of dollars
Yeah.
on my F1 career,
Yeah.
but I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah. But then maybe he has had that conversation because in researching for this episode, found out Lawrence Stroll sold a minority stake of Aston Martin in 2023.
Yeah.
And then there was talks or, like, rumours that he might have sold more sort of, like, early to mid last year as well. So,
But they've also re-signed Lance on a 2-year deal.
yes.
So there's
But that
also
could just be, like, stability if he wants to.
Yeah.
But, like, who knows?
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Because then we had another Stroll-related comment.
We
as
did.
well. I think sponsors and partners are going to force out Papa Stroll and make Lance move out of his seat within a year or two. So,
Yeah. So if more sponsors are coming on because Lawrence Stroll's selling his stake in Aston, then his influence in the company ultimately is going to be decreased. Like, there's going to be more voices, like, more money
agendas
coming in.
as
Yes,
well.
more agendas. Like,
yeah, I think that's a very interesting point, like, to correlate that to the sponsors, because if Lance has said something and, like, wants out, then potentially that is already happening, but they're going to do it in a way that it's like, oh,
Yeah.
well, he just lost influence.
Sort of
But
phased
surely you wouldn't want to do it that way. Surely you would just want to be like, I'm done, retired, instead of like, I'm going to be here until the media, it's like I've been forced out and fired.
yeah.
But maybe he wants to do it that way so people don't, like, hate on him for wasting so much of his dad's time and money.
yeah,
but-
potentially.
It's a tough one.
It is.
It's a really tough one. I feel for Lance.
I know.
I mean, I slander him, like, every week, but I do feel for him.
No, me too.
Like,
Like,
it's a tough, if he does feel like that, and he seems like it, as you said in the interviews.
yeah. It would be brutal. Like, rocking up every week to the media, grilling you about being bad at your job.
Yeah.
Like, I get stressed. Performance reviews make me stressed.
Yeah.
Imagine having to, like, face that every week to the whole world.
Yeah.
Brutal.
So tough. So rough.
Anyway.
Let's move on.
Yes.
Another comment. Piastri can outscore Lando next season.
I think it's highly unlikely. Possible,
Yeah.
but unlikely.
Yeah. I've spoken about this many times
Yes.
before, that I think next year is going to go exactly the same as this year does for McLaren, in that, like...
Do you mean this year is going to go the same as last year?
Yes.
2025, baby.
This is going to be happening until the next season starts, probably.
Yeah.
It's going to go exactly the same as last year because Piastri's still really new. And, like, in reality, they're just a baby. Like, he's in his third season.
Yeah.
But again, all the time he's improving. So I think he could outscore Lando this season. I do think it's possible.
Totally. But I think over the length of a season, Lando is just the better driver.
Yeah.
And I think that will come through.
I think depend on how McLaren go with their car, because if their car isn't good, touch wood,
Yeah.
which I think it will be good, but
Yeah.
like if it's not good for whatever reason and they're scoring less and less points, then it's easier. Like
Yeah,
the
to flip.
differentials can flip more easily because there's less points
Totally.
between them. So I think I think Piastri can outscore Lando. I just don't think he will outscore Lando. Unless he gets way better at qualifying. Because that, at the moment, is where he's, like, losing a lot of ground to Lando. Is he'll qualify 5 places behind him frequently.
Yeah.
And then be playing catch-up while Lando's pissing off into the distance.
Yeah.
So it's, like...
It's hard, yeah. I think, like, there's no reason why the car would be
worse.
bad.
Yeah.
Because I don't think any of the teams realistically have put much effort into developing the car.
Well, Ferrari apparently are going into next year with only 10% of their car the same as this year.
Oh, really?
Did you know?
That either is going to be so good or
That's frightening.
a crime.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I didn't really do any research of this, but that's what Fred Vassar said, and I was like, oh.
That's interesting.
I don't know why they would do that with new regs coming in 2026, but
Maybe they just want to, like, maximize Lewis.
It definitely could be Lewis related. But then is that going to offset Charles if they're changing so much in the car?
That's really interesting.
I think it's really funny. Like, imagine if...
I mean, because they obviously got their upgrades wrong midway through last year.
Yeah.
So... Weird.
Yeah,
but
like,
they were,
they
like,
fixed
very
it at
much
the
on the
end
up
of
and
the
up.
year.
Yeah.
So I don't really know why.
It's giving, like, Mercedes being like, we don't need side pods. And then sticking them on halfway through the season because they were like, no, we do need side pods.
Yeah, totally. So I saw that and I was like, that's very funny. I'm very interested to see how that goes.
Yeah.
Also, like, Ferrari is just one great mystery a lot of the time.
So true. Even to itself, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway.
Interesting.
This is a nice segue.
Yes.
Did you want to read one out?
Oh, yeah, I think I know the comment you're referring to. Mm-hmm. So we had someone comment, Lewis won't do as good as everyone thinks he will at Ferrari. He's past his prime.
This is a good one.
I think how everyone thinks he will is an interesting statement because I think quite a few people would share the sentiment of...
I think it's more like that everyone wants him to.
Totally. I think everyone's in your corner. Like, we were rooting for you. We're all rooting for you. But I am a little bit concerned.
Yeah. I don't think... I kind of agree with this comment, but I think, like, the phrasing's a bit funny, like what everyone thinks he will.
Yeah.
I think people are saying, like, oh, he's going to be so good at Ferrari, like, it's so exciting to see him in Ferrari, but I think it's more everyone just really wants him to do really well at Ferrari. But I kind of agree with this comment.
I think that the big challenge for Lewis is he's going up against Charles Leclerc, who is one of the greatest qualifiers on the grid. Mm-hmm. And Lewis... very clearly last year and
qualifying form
himself. Yeah, like his qualifying form is terrible.
Yeah, and he put that down to being past his prime.
Yeah.
And then got mad at Toto Wolff for saying maybe he's past his shelf life. So
yeah.
You can't have it both ways, Lewis.
No. So, yeah, I feel like that's going to be his, like...
downside. But also, George Russell beat him. So, like... I don't think Lewis is going to beat Charles Leclerc if he can't beat George Russell.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
I do. I do know what you mean. Like, I think Charles Leclerc will absolutely beat Lewis.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think there's any question.
No.
But it'll be about how much... like, how close can Lewis get to him?
Yeah. Because then there's people who are also like, 8th World Championship. And I'm like... that ship has sailed, unfortunately for him.
Yeah.
Michael Massey sunk that ship with a fucking bazooka.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
I think...
Yes, I agree with the comment. I don't think he's going to do, like, amazing, 8th World Championship level performance at Ferrari. I think he will do better than what he did at Mercedes.
I think so.
I think that he hated that Mercedes from the beginning and spoke about how much he hated that car every chance he got.
Yeah.
So hopefully this transformed Ferrari car if that's what's
He's
going
going to make
on.
it like the Mercedes and he's going to hate it.
No side pods in the Ferrari
No
for
side pods in the
2025.
Ferrari.
But yeah, I just think like he's not going to hold a flame to Charles Leclerc.
I fully agree with you. And I think like the flip side of this comment would be if all Lewis needed was like a reset and a refresh and like a fresh perspective, a fresh team, and can kind of go to a new level or go back to his old levels and then deliver in the Ferrari.
Yeah.
But as we've said, I don't think that's going to happen.
No. I feel like there was one that kind of led on from this sort of well. I'm just like trying to find it. Where is it? The one about... Oh, yeah. So, it actually kind of didn't. Well, it sort of does. So someone commented, Liam Lawson should not have gotten the Red Bull seat and Mercedes should have signed Carlos.
Yeah, so that's a bit of a 2-for-1.
It is a bit of a 2-for-1. So let's talk about the first bit first.
Yeah.
Liam Lawson should not have gotten the Red Bull seat. So we obviously talked about this
In our last episode.
in the entirety, well, for the entirety of last year.
Yes.
Who was going to get this Red Bull seat?
But also we did talk about it in the last episode.
We did.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about that? Now that we've had a few weeks to digest and reflect, how do you feel about Liam Lawson being in the Red Bull?
I feel the same, although less passionate about it. I'm less free Yuki and more just like, well, this is the reality now.
Yeah.
I still think, but it's less about Liam and just more about Yuki.
Fair.
Like, I think, yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's just like Liam, he just hasn't shown that much, I thought. Like,
Yeah.
I kind of agree with the comment.
Yeah.
But this is one that I do see both sides of.
Yeah,
Because
fair.
when you take into account like the whole situation with like Yuki and Honda and like Red Bull really wanting to promote their academy and like all of this, like it makes sense.
Yeah.
But I think if we were only looking at driving ability and driving skill
Yeah.
and experience and everything on track wise,
Yeah.
I agree with the comment that I don't think Liam should have gotten the seat. But I do see why he did get the seat. And I don't think it's that crazy that he got the seat. You know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
kind of agree, but I also am not like, yeah, absolutely, he shouldn't
Yeah.
have got it. Like, I don't think it's that crazy
Yeah.
that he
That's
got
fair.
it. And I don't think it's that outrageous.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I've kind of come round to Liam. Mm-hmm. I think the more I've like seen of him on social media and him talking about, you know, just his approach to like this year.
I have something to talk about
and-
after this. Remind me.
And I don't know, I just feel like I'm now like excited to see
Yeah.
how he goes up against Max and how he performs in the Red Bull.
Yeah.
So I've definitely come round to it. Obviously, yes, it still like sucks for Yuki, but like you said, I think like now that I've had a few weeks to like reflect on it, I feel like it just kind of makes logical sense.
Yeah.
Obviously, like the second part of the question goes into Carlos, and there was talks at the start of the year about if Carlos will get the Red Bull seat.
Yeah.
Like, I think that was just never going to happen.
Apparently, but anything that's like apparent coming out of Red Bull, who knows? But apparently, that was very much a potential thing. And then Max said no,
Interesting.
which I could see.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, when I say never going to happen...
They don't want
like-
someone that's going to challenge Max.
Exactly. Like, they want a number 2 driver, and Carlos was never going to be a number 2 driver.
Yeah.
I think Liam will be really good at being a number 2 driver to Max, but not anyone else.
Which is what he should do. That's
Exactly.
exactly how he should behave in that second
So
Red
I
Bull
actually think he's going to be a really good choice if he can make that car work for him.
Yeah, but I think that there will come a point if Liam's always playing second to Max in, who knows, a year, 2 years, where he's not going to want to play second to Max anymore.
Of course.
But then Max is probably going to fucking retire. So
Well, exactly. Like, who even knows there? But I
Yeah.
think at least for this year and probably next year, Liam will be more than happy having
Yeah.
a full-time F1 seat and playing second fiddle to Max.
yeah, I agree. Second part of the question.
Yeah, second part of the question was Mercedes should have signed Carlos.
I, at the start, fully wholeheartedly agreed with this.
Yeah.
I was like, when Carlos was out of a seat, I was like, he should go to
Pop him
Mercedes.
in that Mercedes, yeah.
And I still it's kind of similar when talking about like the Liam thing. I'm like, now that's like such old news that I'm just like aware. Like, I just like, this is what's happening. Like, he's going to Williams. Like, it's kind of happened now. Like, but I do agree with this statement, but more so in the sense that I do think that Carlos deserves a more front fighting seat.
Yes.
Than the Williams.
I agree.
And the Mercedes was realistically the only seat that was potentially available at the front of the field.
Yeah.
So by that logic, I do agree that Mercedes could have gone for Carlos. Also, because I think I worry for Kimi with the pressure of being in a front fighting team.
Yeah.
So I do, from that perspective, think Mercedes should potentially have signed Carlos.
Yeah.
But that was the whole thing. Like, they were going to, but they only wanted him on a 1-year deal and he wanted a longer term contract because they wanted to either give Kimi another year or like put Kimi in the Williams and then move up. So Carlos was like, no, I'm not having a fucking 1-year seat here.
Yeah.
And you like not really wanting to like secure me
Totally.
long term. Completely valid.
Totally.
So I think Mercedes should have signed Carlos, but they obviously want to promote their own academy as well. And like, Kimi looks really fast, but I do worry for him.
Yeah. No, I agree.
In the Mercedes.
I completely agree with everything you just said.
Yeah.
I was listening to, I think it was the High Performance podcast, and Toto Wolff was on it. Do you know how Toto Wolff found out about Lewis leaving Mercedes to go to Ferrari?
No.
So he didn't find it out from Lewis, as you would think.
Oh,
should be the case.
It's so bad. I don't even know what it is, but it's already bad.
Take a guess who told him.
Fred.
Nope.
George.
Nope.
Kimi.
Nope.
Carlos?
Carlos Sainz Sr. His dad. Because they've like,
well, obviously
know each
because,
other.
and also because he took Carlos's seat. So obviously Carlos is going to be one of the first people to fucking find out.
Totally.
That is so bad.
But yeah, he was saying he found out from Carlos's dad because essentially I reckon Carlos's dad was probably trying to like maneuver him into
The Mercedes.
Yeah.
Which I genuinely think if Kimi Antonelli was a non-factor, Carlos would have been a Mercedes.
For sure. But isn't that crazy?
That is crazy. That's poor from Lewis.
Yeah.
I think that's very poor from Lewis.
Yeah.
I mean,
because obviously the deal would have been done if, like, his dad's been given leave to talk about it, to, like...
yeah, it's like the deal's been done. Carlos has been told. Probably Charles and Carlos have been told.
Yeah.
The whole Ferrari team has been told. So Carlos has told his dad, and they're allowed to talk about it. I wonder what if he like was
Well, he
planning.
did eventually.
Yeah, but Toto's like, girl, I know.
Yeah. Crazy, right? I was like, that's so interesting.
That is really, really interesting.
Bit awkward.
Really awkward. That
So
is
I
very
just thought that was very interesting.
Can I talk about just this point really quickly?
Oh, yeah,
Have you
yeah.
seen the all of the new driver logos have been announced?
I have, yes, I did see that graphic.
And Liam Lawson's fucking dumb shit.
I know, I saw someone that was like, it should have been like a
lightning
lightning.
bolt with the L and then L.
Yeah.
Like, because he's always talking about Lightning McQueen.
Yeah.
And it's just cool. Because,
Absolutely.
like, Lance Stroll was the OG.
Yeah.
And then Lando kind of did the same,
Kind
but
of.
made it better by
Yes.
using the negative space.
Yes.
And then Liam's...
That is, as someone who works in marketing, that is like logo
it's
design.
so good.
It's so good.
It's so good. And now Liam's gone for the same style.
Yes.
But it's just a box.
I know.
It looks so bad.
I know. I don't like it.
I don't like it at all.
I like Ollie Bearman's.
Ollie
the
Bearman's
big
is
bear.
sick.
So
I
cool.
really like Ollie Bearman's.
Such
And then
a
there's
vibe.
obviously the ones that are just like have their name. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, fair enough. Like maybe they'll get one later.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny that Nico Hulkenberg's is still just Nico Hulkenberg.
I know. Bro's like, I just, it is what it is.
So he's like graphic design, marketing.
Seeps.
I'ma just drive.
Yeah, for real.
right.
Should we move on to the next one?
Yeah.
So next up, we had one come in that said, Esty Bestie will wipe the floor with Ollie Bearman at Haas this year.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think wipe the floor is a little crazy.
You reckon?
Yeah. I don't think he will wipe the floor with Ollie Bearman. I think he will beat Ollie Bearman.
I think he will quite significantly beat Ollie Bearman.
Yeah.
I think Esteban Ocon's he's a race winner.
Yeah.
He's a very good driver.
Yeah.
Ollie Bearman was amazing when he came in for Saudi last year. And
Baku.
yeah, and like, you know, in Saudi he was obviously in a Ferrari, which at the time
Was the second best car.
Yeah,
easily.
and potentially even the fastest car. Like it was very much like in conversation of, okay, is Ferrari going to be better than Red Bull this year? Like around that time.
Yeah.
That conversation was starting.
Yeah.
It was still like definitely second best, but it was like, are they gonna, you know,
Like improve and get to Red Bull.
yeah. So I think that definitely accounted for a lot
Of his good result. Yeah.
Yes. And then he was obviously like just the absolute super sub last year and like jumped in a bunch of times and like did really well. But I don't think that's going to account for or like help like overcome the gap between how much experience
Ocon has.
yeah
Yeah.
and where he's starting from.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I agree that Ocon will beat him. I don't think Ollie Bearman's about to outperform Ocon.
No.
But I just think like it depends as well how good the Haas is.
for sure.
Because similar to kind of what we were saying with the Lando Oscar thing, like more points make it, you know, like more different.
Yeah.
Like differentials and stuff. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see if they find each other on track a fair bit, because I think Ocon will be really wanting to be like, all right, I'm going to stake my claim in this team, like settle in, like have me being the solid like first driver, which he's never really been. And I think he's going to be wanting to do that. So I think he will go full send, pedal to the metal, as he should
Yeah.
in that circumstance. So I wonder, because obviously we've seen the French Civil War with Gasly, and we've seen Ocon when he was teammates with Perez get really feisty when they're like going wheel to wheel and stuff.
Totally.
And we haven't seen how feisty Ollie is. He hasn't really seemed
Yeah.
like gritty in that way.
Yeah.
But who knows?
Well, I think that, like, the point you make about the points being, like... Because Haas were essentially fighting for the last couple points each weekend,
Race,
really.
yeah.
Like, they were good. They were absolutely, I think, like, up the top of the midfield. And so I think that Esteban Ocon's experience will get him up to where those final points places will be. I just don't think Ollie will get there as frequently.
Yeah. And qualifying form as well.
Yeah. And I think, like, you know, we saw it with Franco last year where he started off great and then slowly the fatigue and the pressure and everything just starts to pile on.
Yeah.
And I think that as a vet driver, you're used to that. Whereas as a rookie, that's going to be a lot for your first year. So I think that, like, he's got to overcome that as well. So, yeah, I do see Esteban Ocon doing a lot better than Ollie Bearman this year, which I don't want that to happen. Love Ollie Bearman. So cute. Love. But, like...
Yeah, interesting. I also think it will be very interesting to see how Ocon goes at Haas, because the last end of the previous season, Gasly was cooking him, but then we found out that Gasly's car was heavily upgraded and Ocon's had like nothing on it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I feel like the Alpine occasionally ripped this year. But
last year.
I'm gonna do a toto ball. Bang the headset. But the Haas last year was a much more consistently good car than the Alpine.
Yeah.
So I think it will be much more indicative of where Ocon is at than the Alpine was.
I agree.
So
Interesting. All right, we've got a couple more. Mm-hmm. So this one was not a hot take, but who do you think will be on the podium if all the drivers are in equal machinery? Which I think everyone has an opinion on this. It was interesting. We were talking about this before we were filming, and you were like,
I don't know.
and I was like, I got my three immediately.
So what were your three that you came to very quickly?
My three were Charles, Max, and Lewis.
That's the same three that I ended up with. But
Who were you deciding between?
Lewis, because Lewis just got beaten by George in equal machinery.
Fair.
So I was like, how does that put... If it's equal machinery,
That's a very
we've
good
just
point.
seen him clearly being beaten by George
Very good point.
in equal machinery. And I think Max is just like a lock.
Yeah, absolutely.
Solid lock.
Yeah.
We've seen that this year. He did not have the best car and he's winning fucking races while his car doesn't turn. So I think Max is a lock.
Yeah.
Charles, I just think, can drive an incredible race.
Yes.
And
He's a very technically good driver.
yeah, exactly. But my only hesitation with Charles is we haven't seen him in a bad car in a long time. So it's like...
I mean, there have been moments.
If the car... Which car are we in?
Yes. And, like, are we in the... Like, when they got the upgrades wrong midway through last year, like, that was a bad car.
Yeah.
There were moments, I think, in, like, years gone past, 2022, not so much 2022, 2021, where, like, the car still needed work.
Yeah.
So, like... Yeah.
Yeah, that's my only thing with that is, like, we haven't seen him, like, week out with a bad car.
Shit car.
For a while. Like, since he's been such a well-developed, experienced driver,
Yes.
he's been in a good car.
Yes.
So there's that kind of too. And I also just wanted to talk about a couple of people who, while I don't think that they'd be on the podium, that I think would be much more competitive in a equal machinery.
Yeah.
Gasly,
Yeah.
first of all. Like, as soon as the Alpine clocked on at the end of last season...
He was there.
He was there.
Yep.
Qualified P3 in Las Vegas.
Yep. True.
As soon as the Alpine locked in, he was, like, right there.
Yeah.
And you saw, like, when he was dumped from Red Bull and put back into the AlphaTauri, which he was comfortable in, won a race on the podium.
Yeah.
Like, I think that he's someone that, while I'm not putting him in that top group
he'd
on
do
the
well.
podium,
Yeah.
I do think that he would do
Yeah.
very well in equal machinery.
Fair. I think Fernando Alonso is another one.
Yeah, this was my other thing with Fernando and Lewis, like, just that, like, age thing.
Yeah,
I'm like,
for sure.
Yeah.
But you got to think with that many world championships under their belt.
Can I talk about my fun fact now? Because my
Yes.
fun fact is actually about Fernando Alonso and
Okay,
his world championship. Do you want to finish your point, though?
Nope, that was my point.
Okay. I did cut you off mid-sentence. So we weren't going to prepare a useless stat or a fun fact for this episode, but I saw one and I was like, that is fucking crazy. So Fernando Alonso, as we know, 2-time world champion. He was only a total of 8 points away from being a 5-time world champion.
Interesting.
So I did my research. In 2007, he finished in equal second
Yeah.
with Lewis,
Yeah.
behind my boy, Kimi Räikkönen,
Yes.
by 1 point.
Yep.
So that's 1 point.
Yep.
2010, he finished 4 points behind Seb. And 2012, he finished 3 points behind Seb.
Wow.
So that's 8 points
That's crazy.
and 3 world championships he didn't win.
that's crazy.
So, yeah, that kind of sucks.
Yeah,
but
that's pretty brutal.
It is pretty brutal, but I was like, that's crazy. Like, I knew that he was up there and, like,
Yeah.
came second a bunch of times.
Yeah.
But, like, 8
To
points.
be that close so many
8
times.
points. 3 world championships.
Ouch.
It just shows how, like, important, like, little moments can be. And, like,
Totally.
little...
I know.
Anyway, I just thought that was a little crazy.
Remember, like, all of last year, we were like, if Lando loses by 7 points.
And then Brazil happened.
Yeah. It's like, well.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyways, so we're locking in Charles, Max, and Lewis, though, with a few hot contenders.
Yeah. Because I just don't know about Lewis. I just think because he is such a good driver.
I think he'd be third on the podium. I think it'd be Max, Charles, Lewis, first, second, third.
I don't know, though. I'm, like, questioning myself. Because I think I'm thinking of, like, prime Lewis would obviously be absolutely
Of course,
there.
yeah.
But I'm
But
like-
Lewis today.
Lewis today got beaten by George in equal machinery. So I'm like, I want to drop him, but I don't know who I would. I don't know if I'd put George. I wouldn't put George in his place.
Yeah, I get you.
Like,
It'd, like, depend on, like, where they qualified.
yeah. In which case, I would say Lewis won't be there. And, like, maybe, like, Lando will be up there.
But, like, Lewis has always been able to like come through the field.
I know.
The whole like George starting at the front, Lewis starting at the back, they'll finish 9th.
Yeah.
10th, like, you know. Anyway, it's a very interesting
It is.
discussion. Feel free to comment who would be on your podium
in Equal
Machinery.
Because like that's what I've gone with, but I'm not saying that
You're
with
not
my full
sold out
chest.
to it. Yeah.
No.
We've whispered it.
Yeah, I'm like,
Fair. I do like how we haven't really, like, neither of us said either McLaren.
yeah, I know.
But I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that
They'd be there.
would be there. But
Yeah.
anyway.
Maybe in a few years.
Yeah, give it a minute.
Yeah.
All right, our last topic or question that came in was, it was a hot take.
It's a very hot
I was
take.
like, hang on a minute. Yeah. Was Williams have the best teammate pairing on the 2025 grid?
James Vowles agrees.
James Vowles, that might be his burner account. I don't know.
James Vowles' burner account follows Lights Out on Instagram. Put it on a t-shirt. But yeah, I think very interesting.
Yeah.
I don't agree with it.
If by best you mean most
fun.
entertaining. Yes.
Wherever Carlos goes is the most fun.
Yeah, look, I think they're a strong teammate pairing.
Oh, yeah.
Like Carlos and Alex, Alex is a great
Experience.
driver.
Yeah.
Like the two of them together are going to be great, and I
Mm-hmm.
think that Williams are going to do massively better this year than they did last year.
If Alex Albon's luck fixes itself.
Yes. Hopefully he's had some sage,
Yeah.
just something.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that they're going to be a super entertaining team. I think they're going to be really fun to watch. I don't think they're the best performance-wise team on the grid. Who would you say?
Because, then it's a thing of, like, who is.
Yes.
So, obviously, solidly in that discussion is Ferrari
Yes.
with Charles and Lewis. I think on paper,
Yeah.
you'd have to say
Ferrari.
it's Charles and Lewis. But, obviously, as we've spoken about, who knows how Lewis will go in the Ferrari.
Yes.
So, I think McLaren obviously have an extremely strong driver lineup
Yep.
from the perspective of 0 DNFs last year as well.
Yep.
And like qualifying results and race wins, but obviously you can put that down somewhat to the car.
Yeah.
But I think that the no DNFs
Yeah.
is incredible as like a driver pairing, and the fact that they're both so young and will only get better.
Yeah.
I think that they're in a really good position driver pairing wise, and they're in a position where they also haven't changed their driver pairing when everyone else has.
Yes.
Bar
I think that's
Esteban.
the thing is like there are so many unknown variables with all the rookies coming in
yeah.
this year that like deciding who's going to be the best pairing is so
Difficult.
hard
Yeah.
because you don't know. And even with the known quantities like Lewis, like you don't know how he's going to go in Ferrari. So like really I think you have to say it's McLaren
Yeah.
and asterisk maybe Ferrari.
Yeah.
If Lewis can perform.
If Lewis can perform. Yeah. And I do think, like, driver skill-wise, like, I do think Williams are well and truly up there. But then
Absolutely.
it's like, what do you class as the best? Are you
Yes.
counting results? Or are you
Yes.
counting previous results?
Yes.
Or are you counting, like...
Because we do have to factor in the car's performance if you're talking about team performance.
Yeah. Williams are, like, probably not going to be the best team on the grid.
Yeah.
Because... Yeah, and then if you're looking at, like, previous results, you can't really do that either because then it's obviously Ferrari with Lewis.
Yeah.
But
So it's hard to quantify.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But I think if you factor it all in, I think you have to say McLaren.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Slay.
You're like, yes, I approve that answer.
Correct. No. But I think it's really interesting to see as well how Red Bull goes.
Yeah.
Like, new teammate for Max.
Totally.
So,
How's he gonna go?
because he's always going to have to be in a discussion if you're talking about, like, best anything.
For sure.
You kind of still have to talk about Max. But Liam's still, as you said, somewhat of an unknown.
Totally.
Yeah. So
I think anyone who steps into that Red Bull is unknown because it's just such a crazy car and like
environment.
can you drive it? Like
yeah.
you might be able to drive the RB really well, but that doesn't mean you can drive the Red Bull really well.
Yeah. And they tested Yuki in the Red Bull and not Liam. So
Yeah,
Liam hasn't driven the Red Bull.
Yep.
Has he?
He's driven
in a practice.
Yeah.
Okay. I was
So
just like,
anyway.
there's no way he hasn't driven them.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have
Well, I
anything
think
else to
that's-
talk about? Is that it?
I think that's all our topics.
It is.
So
That was fun. I liked that.
That was good. I think we should do this again.
Yes.
So definitely comment your opinions, hot takes, or like questions you would want us to discuss.
Yes, and talk
'Cause
about.
We will yap.
We will, yeah. I don't know how long this has been recording for, like an hour.
No. Yeah. We'll find out.
I don't
when we
think
check the
quite
things.
an hour.
I don't
but
think so.
anyway, also, if you haven't seen, we have posted some reacts videos. So they're a lot of fun and we like filming them. We're going to literally film more right now. So go watch those as well and subscribe to our YouTube channel because most people that watch our videos aren't subscribed. So subscribe to YouTube. If you're watching on if you're listening, I did it in the wrong order and now like my whole
You're thrown out. It's all right.
So if you're listening, give us a 5-star review if you enjoyed it because it really helps us out and we appreciate it. And if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, like the video, leave us a comment, especially on this one, and tell us what your hot takes are
Yes.
and controversial opinions.
We want to hear them.
Yeah, I love reading them.
Yes.
It's so fun.
They're
And then
so
talking about them is even more fun. So, yeah, we'll see you next time.
For sure.
Bye.
Bye.